The basis for a product is rooted in nature. And Akzo Nobel in Ada processes nature directly into that product. A product made from natural raw materials, breathes, is supple and adjusts to temperature and moisture. Ideal for use in clothing. It is comfortable. The odds are good that the clothes you're wearing today contain it. It is viscose yarn. The story of viscose takes us back 100 years to France. The Count Hilaire de Chardonnay discovered a method to make thread from a natural material. De Chardonnay dedicated the rest of his life to perfecting the making of a product that looks so much like silk that it was first called artificial silk. In 1911, Dr. Hartogs founded the Dutch artificial silk factory at Arnhem in the Netherlands. It was small at start, but in 1919 a new factory was built in the town of Ada. The choice of location stemmed from the high quality of water there that was necessary for production. 3 years later, the first products left the factory doors. After about 10 years, there were here 5,200 employees who produced 65,000 kilograms of artificial silk every week. By the way, the name artificial silk became outdated. Today, we talk of viscose yarn. The name of the company changed as well, first to Aku and Enka, then to Akzo, and later to Akzo Nobel, or more precisely, Akzo Nobel Fibers BV. The production process was considerably improved over the years, and with it the quality of the yarns. Current production is 250,000 kilograms of viscose yarn per week. It is achieved by more than 1,100 employees. In the past, each worker produced around 10 kilograms per week. Today, it is 190 kilograms thanks to modern processing technology. Yet in spite of the new technology, people remain the most important factor in the production process. And Akzo Nobel is well aware of this. The company offers an introduction course for every newcomer, followed by job training, as a spinner, for example. But there are also more broadly based training programs covering subjects such as communication, quality, and the environment. Care and concern have been invested in the environment in which the employees work. Everything is done to ensure the Akzo Nobel employee feels at home. And the result is well-motivated employees that operate with talent and enthusiasm. Let's go back and consider the raw material for viscose yarn. It means going back to nature, to a pine forest. Softwood plays an important role in the production of viscose yarn. It consists largely of cellulose, and that is the raw material for the production of viscose yarn. Most of the cellulose used in the Ada factory comes from Norway. Forests have been specially planted there. An ingenious system of replanting ensures there is always enough raw material available and that the natural environment is in no way harmed. An environmental friendly operation. The bark is first removed from the trees and they are cut into chips. The chips are then cooked, ground, bleached and pressed. This process produces thick sheets of pulpy blotting paper. These paper sheets are shipped by boat to Delfzijl in the north and from there by road to Ada. In order to make threads, the paper must first be converted into a liquid state. The sheets are first weighed and then transported via a conveyor belt to a large mixing tank in which they are steeped in lye. A mixer in the tank converts the sheets into a liquid pulp. The pulp is fed through a press to produce a white mat that is then crumbed. The flakes this process creates are called white crumbs. They are placed in large containers and stored at a constant temperature for a day and a half. This process is called pre-ripening. After pre-ripening, the white crumbs are mixed with carbon disulfide, which is done in viscose reactors called wet churn. The color of the crumbs changes from white to yellow-orange. These yellowish crumbs are then dissolved in lye in the same reactor. The paper is now fluid. What we now have is syrupy viscose, the viscose that forms the basis for viscose yarns. At this stage, however, the viscose is not yet pure enough. It must first be filtered and de-aerated. The purity of the viscose is the pride of Ada and is constantly checked. For only the purest viscose is good enough for the production of high-quality yarn. The skilled employees of Akzo Nobel Ada guarantee this high quality. There's an awful lot of nature in this story. And one of the old natural processes that our company uses to make the threads is spinning. Here at Akzo Nobel, that means making threads from the viscose. Nature is given a helping hand by the so-called spinneret, an ingenious tool the size of a small coin. A nozzle made of precious metal. The viscose is pressed through holes in this nozzle into a bath of hot acid. This is the nucleus of the process. The small streams of viscose solidify into hair-thin threads that are wound onto spools. The velocity at which the spinning occurs is fast, about 100 meters a minute. The thread fills the spinning spool in 5 to 24 hours, according to its thickness. In their turn, the spinners begin changing spools and make sure the threads are spooled up in the right way. What the spinners do here is extremely important. Controlling a process that operates so rapidly and involves such fine threads demands extreme accuracy and skill. But in Akzo Nobel's world, education and professional skill are well-known concepts. The full spools are loaded onto trucks and are shipped to the pressure bleaching process, where they are rinsed clean. They are then dried for 3 days in these drying tunnels. We perform the same process, spinning, washing and drying in Ada, also in one production process, in what's called the continuous spinning unit. During the cleaning of the yarn, the chemicals that are used in this part of the process are largely recycled. And as that was the case with the planting program in the industrial forests of Norway, so it is in regard to the environment here. No harm is done. Besides the equipment for recycling the chemical agents, there is a large water purification installation that does its critical work. The gases that are released during spinning are removed so that production employees are not inconvenienced. The air goes through an air cleaning system to prevent environmental pollution. In addition to all the inspections done by the government authorities, Akzo Nobel itself also measures the quality of the air emitted and the water that has passed the wastewater purification plant. In the coming years again, millions of guilders will be invested in protecting the environment. For example, by means of the project Purification at the Source. The yarn on the spools in the meantime has been dried and the process progresses further. Because the very thin elementary threads of the yarn lie more or less next to each other, they are very vulnerable to damage. Twisting these thin filaments together creates a much stronger yarn. This is what happens in the twisting department. All the thin filaments are twisted together with 90 twists for every meter. Many people find it difficult to believe that such a complicated procedure can be performed with such precision. Akzo Nobel's technical and production experts are always on the move, closely checking the whole process. It's no accident that around 150 people work on technical maintenance. They know the machines in-house from A to Z. Because clients make clothing fabric which has many requirements from yarns, research is a very important factor in the process. Akzo Nobel's Textile Technical Institute is continually researching new developments in the area of yarns and ideas for developing fashion fabrics. So, because of this, Akzo Nobel possesses know-how both in existing and new products. There is constant consultation with customers towards developing high-quality products. Contact with customers is expressed in marketing programs such as the Akzo Nobel Fashion Train, one of the activities to make fabric manufacturers familiar with our products. But research is undertaken not only with customers such as weavers and knitters, but with manufacturers of textile machines as well. Akzo Nobel invests in cooperative marketing activities in various areas, such as lining fabrics and women's outerwear. The furnishing industry receives an overview of special effect yarns and a collection of the latest trends. It is obvious that Akzo Nobel Ada must deliver yarns in any makeup as desired by clients. That can be on small bobbins called cones, or on extremely large bobbins called beams. The twisted threads to be wound on cones are first shrunk slowly and evenly to prevent later uneven shrinking that could eventually be visible in the finished fabric. Next, the rolls are wound onto the conically shaped spools. Here as well, each cone is stringently inspected before it is packed. The majority of twisted products are sent to be warped. Warping is laying a high number of threads neatly parallel next to each other to form a yarn bed that is wound on a beam. 800 to 1,000 of the rolls are put on special carriers. Via fiber guides and fiber brakes, the threads from these rolls are pulled through a board with as many eyelets, thus forming a warp that is wound on the beam. The threads are pulled from their rolls at speeds up to 500 meters per minute. An electric eye ensures that the machine stops at every irregularity. The operator can then remove any defect, fluff for instance. There are customers who need a warp system with many more threads in order to weave. To obtain this, a number of beams, each of 1,000 threads, are hung on an assembly arrangement. From this, all of the threads are wound onto a massive assembly beam of sometimes up to 16,000 threads. These threads are simultaneously provided with a protection layer. We call that reinforcing process sizing. At this point, the production process is complete. Akzo Nobel Ada's weekly production is 25 million kilometers of yarn, Strung together, it would go around the Earth 600 times. Almost 100% of it is exported to weavers and knitters the world over. At all these locations, there is a production of a massive range of products. Tablecloths and napkins, furnishing fabrics, lining materials, lingerie, and ladies' clothing. All of these products have one thing in common. They are made of viscose from Ada. In an atmosphere of creativity, a modern production process employs craftsmanship, research, and a customer-oriented attitude to answer the needs of the market. Viscose from Ada, an internationally valued product of quality, made from natural raw materials, offering perfect humidity and temperature control, supple, breathing, just as nature itself.